Hello guys, welcome to another virtual lesson. And today we're going to revise because we have finished the whole chapter about neurohormonal regulation, and now it's time to revise all the knowledge that we have from this chapter. I know it's been stretched in time a little bit, but unfortunately, we cannot do nothing about this. And right now, I would like you to go through your notes, your book, basically all the materials that you have. And in this video, you will get to know what to pay attention to. The test is going to take place next Wednesday, so you have a whole week to prepare, to revise. It's going to be in a form of an online survey, which will be automatically, at least in its huge part, automatically scored. So you will know your result almost instantly. It will be available for an hour, exactly the time we usually have lessons. So you have to get ready and reserve the time on Wednesday in the hours we would usually have the lesson. I promise it will be easy and it will not be tricky at all due to the circumstances. But still, I expect you to get some basic knowledge because, as you can see, this is the knowledge about how our bodies work is extremely crucial for your own well-being. So, in case anything bad happens to your health, you know what could go wrong. And guys, during this chapter, it wasn't a very long chapter. We have started with the endocrine system. Endocrine system as such. And guys, we have learned what hormones are. We have also learned about the fact that they usually work antagonistically. That means that some hormones they will, for instance, speed up the heart rate. Some hormones will slow it down. And guys, we have learned about glands, what glands we have. In case you don't remember them, they are all listed on pages 165, 166. And I also gave you a full handout in English, so you don't necessarily have to use the book. Your notes should be all right. Um, if it comes to, guys, go back to the notes and just revise it once again. Then we were talking about endocrine system disorders. And we were talking about, first of all, what is hormonal balance. We were talking about glands, underactivity, and or overactivity. The consequences of either underactivity or overactivity, which are the diseases. For instance, the GHD, growth hormone deficiency, czyli karłowatość, gigantism, acromegaly, also thyroid overactivity and underactivity. Hashimoto, and also diabetes types 1 and 2. So guys, this was the whole topic about this. Go back to this revise. Then the first thing that we were talking about was the nervous system. So guys, we have divided nervous system in two ways, as central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, but also we have divided into somatic, oh sorry for this, somatic and autonomic. And guys, you have to revise the functions of all of them, all the tiny things that they steer. So that was this topic. Then in the fourth topic, we talked a little bit more about central nervous system and basically all the divisions, basically the brain divided into cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. Again, all the functions that each of them do are to be revised. We also talked a little bit about construction of brain, which is gray and white substance. But also things like meninges, opony mózgowe, so this is how the brain is protected, but also lobes, but also hemispheres. Uh, all the different type of lobes are responsible. Different lobes are responsible for different processes, such as frontal lobe processes speech and emotions, parietal processes the sense of space, occipital processes words, and temporal lobe processes hearing. Then the next topic, the fifth one, was all about peripheral nervous system. And basically, the most important things are that the PNS consists of sensory nerves and motor nerves. Once again, what functions do they serve? Sensory nerves pass the signal from receptor to central nervous system, and motor nerves, they uh, send signals from peripheral nervous system to muscles and glands to perform some action. Guys, nerves in peripheral nervous system can be divided into two groups. So cranial, the ones that origin from the skull, from the head part of the body, and spinal, the ones that origin from spinal cord, and guys, functions of them are to be revised. Then we have also learned about an occurrence which is called the reflex arch. Once again, this is a occurrence when you're in danger, when your receptors sense something that is dangerous physically for you, such as hot object or really cold object, or something that is extremely sharp, your muscles will start to act even before your brain notices, even before your brain processes it. And that's extremely important in terms of burns, for instance, because if you burn yourself, then fractions of seconds are important in order to avoid permanent damages to the skin. So the signal will go directly to the spinal cord, and it will not be sent at this point to the brain, but it will be passed further to the muscle directly from the spinal cord in order to save some time. So you can move your hand from the fire, for instance, before it burns you. The pain will show up a little bit later because pain is basically an illusion created by our brains in order to make us pay attention to a part of our body. We have also learned about reflexes and also two types of them, conditional and unconditional. And basically, the conditional ones are the ones that we acquire throughout our lives. So they are the result of us getting used to something. So when you move to a new flat for some time, your feet will be going in the wrong direction because in your previous flat the kitchen was somewhere else, and in this flat it's somewhere else. But they might be changed. We acquire them, we lose them, basically depending on our needs. And if it comes to unconditional reflexes, they are inborn. And as I said during the lesson, for instance, inborn reflexes are the first line of protection in our immune system, where we have the gag reflex. So that means when something enters not the esophagus but enters trachea, you start to cough to get rid of it, or when you eat something unfresh, you start to vomit in order to get rid of this as soon as possible before it can possibly create food poisoning. So this is really handful. And guys, then we were talking about in the sixth one, we were talking about disorders and hygiene of nervous system. And guys, I know this podcast was really long, but that's an important question. That's an important thing to talk about. And we have distinguished stress as a reaction to changing circumstances. So this happens mostly through hormones, through cortisol and adrenaline. We have divided them into two groups, into two kinds of stress: eustress, which is positive, and distress, which is negative. And in long-term exposure to this, you might be prone to many diseases, as not only the mental ones, but also the physical ones. We have listed the effects of stress, and there are plenty of them. And guys, we have also talked about how to deal with this. And a few strategies I propose, which is predict and get ready, which is, I think, the best way of dealing with stress. But on the other hand, some of the things like COVID epidemics we couldn't have predicted. So this does not always work. The second one, distance. Talk with somebody else about things that make you upset, about things you're stressed out about. to basically take off the burden from you. Release tension via physical activity. That's also important because a simple chemical reaction occurs while doing physical activity. Your brains are releasing endorphins, which are hormones of happiness. So, regardless of how much stress you have, once you get injected with endorphins, you will feel better. The next thing is to sleep well. Sleeping well is also important because your body regenerates during the sleep. Plus, some of the processes, some of the hormones are being released only when you're sleeping, and they are a must. For instance, melatonin. And guys, if you're resting, then rest in an active way, not sitting on a couch, not sitting in front of the TV and watching some garbage shows on Netflix. Seriously, that will not leave you rested. Instead, just do something. Take a walk. Not now, not now, but guys, I'm talking about life in general. Once this pandemic is over, but this is the way. For now, we are more stuck to our homes. And guys, we were talking about the diseases, and the diseases were listed as following. So we have neurosis. I explained it a bit more in the podcast. We had obsessions, which basically origin from neurosis. We have stroke, where the brain doesn't get enough blood. We have hemorrhagic stroke, where the brain gets too much blood because a blood vessel breaks and it basically floods the brain with blood. Meningitis and encephalitis. Oh my God, that's so difficult to pronounce. Sorry for this. I will write it down. Encephalitis, yes. So meningitis is when a viral or a bacterial infection attacks your meninges, which are the protective organs of the brain. And encephalitis happens when viral or bacterial infection gets into your brain. Both are extremely, extremely dangerous. Epilepsy, the next one. Autism, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's disease, and the last but unfortunately not least, depression. So all the diseases that might happen that are somehow connected to the nervous system, this is absolutely necessary for you to know more or less what they are about. Okay, guys, so please carefully read the instruction. You have a whole week to prepare yourself for the upcoming test. As I said, this will take place in a form of an online survey, which will be open for a certain period of time. So make sure you reserve this particular hours for this test. Please, I will write down exact hours when it should take place. So for now, take care and get ready. On Friday, we're starting a new topic, but you will have some time to prepare.